The drunk, the high, and the sober. An unlikely night. Rainbow Dash looked right to see a baby dragon, and everything but age, currently drinking a bottle that babies especially should not have. Then she glanced to her left to see Twilight Sparkle, nerd of the century, munching deliciously away at brownies.
This sucks.
Rainbow Dash's forehead bonked into the wooden counter, as bottles and a plate rattled. Seconds later, another bonk followed, prompting the girl to glance through strands at the dragon. She then blew the mane off of her muzzle.
Why'd you do that?
Spike's eye opened from over the wood.
Same reason you did it.
Both of their faces pressed into the wood.
These brownies taste funny.
Both their faces turned left and at the happy alicorn. Golden light from the lamp bathed Twilight as she munched down the last brownie. Wiping a crumb-covered hoof on her chest, she looked at the plate quizzically.
I don't know why Treehugger said to only eat 2. Those things were great.
Spike and Rainbow glanced at each other. Then they focused on the naive princess.
I guess pastries are known for being pretty calorie-dense.
Twilight rattled off as her shoulders started to lower.
But I'm already good with my weight, and I'm not really on a diet either.
Then her head leaned to the side and her eyes took to the sky.
Why am I starting to feel funny?
Twilight then fell forward, first with her face onto the counter. Her eyes closed to avoid the twirling of the world, and for the next few moments she mumbled and groaned, holding her chest with crossed and tightening forelegs.
Rainbow?
Mm-hmm.
I'm too drunk to take proper care of this.
I know.
Rainbow?
Yeah?
I'm too drunk to take proper care of myself.
I know that too.
What else do you know?
That tonight's gonna suck.
Is there anything else you don't know?
That the other 4 were gonna bail last minute.
Would you have still come anyway?
There's some questions, Bud, that you just don't want the answers to.
Rainbow's first task was to get the high and the drunk out of the bar. Spike would be trouble, for he tended to wobble in the opposite direction of where he was supposed to go. Instead of going forward, he stumbled back.
I want you to try stumbling backward now.
The little dragon standing before her hooves shook his head, blinked, and then nodded in correction. He tried walking backward, but stumbled forward instead, heading towards the door. Because of that, Rainbow smirked.
There you go.
Then his legs crossed and he fell, landing next to the dead body of Twilight Sparkle. She had suddenly fallen off of the stool and onto the ground. Dazed and curled into herself, her eyes drooped and her mouth hung open. Sometimes her eyes wandered away from each other and fixated on random things. Ma'am? Rainbow Dash looked to the bartender, who tossed her a broom. She raised on 2 legs to catch it, and he nodded before turning away. That should help with the mess. Rainbow slumped and brought the broom to both of the fallen ends. Pushing, added with flaps from her wings, she moved down their rumps and swept the 2 to the door.
Don't vomit.
I promise.
Don't vomit.
I promise.
Rainbow Dash took a step and felt the dragon shift on her back, the sound of bile rising in his throat and exiting through his mouth. Tiny particles splashed onto the sides of her left hooves. She stopped and sighed.
I vomited.
I know.
I avoided your mane.
Thanks.
Mostly.
You know, you're such a good, super duper good friend. I appreciate that, Twilight. No, like, we shouldn't even be friends. You're cool, but I'm a nerd. You should bully me. I don't bully. Why not? You seem like a bully. Thanks for the vote of confidence. But you have all the qualities of one. Except for the bullying part? Well, sometimes you bully in little ways, but every pony has their flaws.
Oh, so much for being flawless.
Why don't you bully? Because showing ponies how they suck wasn't fun for me. I like being better than others.
Rainbow sighed as calm winds carried the night with them. The soft splashing of the central fountain wasn't far away.
But not enough to want to shame Fluttershy in any way. She already got enough of that as a kid.
She then stomped another step forward, with a rope tied around her barrel, the other ends tied around the barrel of Twilight. The princess was dragged across the dirt, leaving a spread of her frame behind. Giggles came in every step.
That's why you're not a bully. Someone you cared about got bullied, so now you don't bully. Maybe?
Rainbow exhaled back as her breath was captured in a mist. A lock of her mane was being twirled in a talon. Spike had become enveloped with a green that was in her hair.
It's more like I prefer competition. You have to prove yourself in that. Your words don't mean squat, unless you can back them up.
Twilight cheered and beat her hooves into the dirt. She was then dragged down another set of steps.
That's it then! The hollow joy of bullying wasn't for you. It was always a guaranteed victory.
Something like that.
Why are you my friend, Rainbow?
Rainbow blinked and glanced over her shoulders, over the fallen head of a drake, past the top of his spines to the mare dragged far behind.
Twilight, why wouldn't I be? It makes sense now because I'm a princess and I have power.
Twilight burped and hiccuped and gagged on the aftertaste of the duo.
But before, when I was only a nerd, I didn't bring much to the table. But yet you were my friends.
She sighed.
All of you were.
Spike groaned.
I didn't have a choice.
Rainbow nuggied his head.
Enough out of you.
She then shook her head.
And back to that, I don't know, Twi, I don't really think about friends that way. But you could have hung with cooler, more popular ponies. As much as I may love myself, I've already dealt with others out there like me.
Her hooves pawed at the ground, and she watched them do so.
Don't you ever wonder why Fluttershy was my best friend before you girls? It's nice to have ponies so drastically different from you. Is that why you were my friend then? It was one of the reasons, maybe? I don't know.
Rainbow shook her head and carried on.
I just do as I do, Twi. I hang with ponies I like, and I kinda stop when I don't like them much. I don't really think, I just do. I go on what I got.
Twilight bellowed from behind.
A mare without self-consciousness. Not totally.
Rainbow scrunched her face.
But I liked you, because you were different.
Twilight laughed.
What's so funny? It's just... I always thought that I would never have friends because I was different.
Rainbow rolled her eyes, although she smiled, and continued on, carrying the two through the night.
You're pretty.
Not sexy?
You're more pretty than sexy.
Should I be insulted?
Depends on what you like more, or what you like me seeing you as.
Take things haven't gone well with Rarity?
So, who wants to date a baby?
Well, only because you're acting like one.
That's the answer to all my problems?
No, but it'll help with a few.
How do I be cool?
Don't. Show off when the moment seems right, but just be yourself.
He's not good enough.
Not good enough yet. You think of us this great as a filly?
A sonic rainboom says yes.
And a sonic rainbow is something I had to work towards. You've come a long way since then, too.
How?
When you run your mouth, you put yourself on the line, and it's extra logs to the fire to prove yourself.
Rainbow leaned her head and nuzzled the dragon through that. She had grown in such a way that showing affection wasn't the end of her career.
You have to be willing to risk yourself, Spike. To take that hit and to make that dive, it'll hurt, and it'll be tough. But you have to be willing to do something to become someone.
So I have to become a someone then?
To other ponies? Maybe.
Rainbow chuckled.
But to us, you're already enough.
The castle had been locked and Rainbow couldn't care to look for the key, leaving the two at the towering doors. Twilight was curled into herself sleeping, with the dragon tucked into her forelegs and held against her breathing chest. Rainbow looked at them with a chuckle. It wasn't fully right to leave them on display for the passing ponies of the next day, but she also knew events like these, something different from the usual, pumped to life back into the hollow days. Turning away, she flapped her wings and soared into the sky. You gotta love that. Something comedic at the beginning and then slowly transitioned to something wholesome in the end. Oh god, it is amazing. All of this is simply a treat and then some. Anyways, let's get on to our more than likely sober donators. Top donators: TacoCat598, Peter Coulthard, J Tin Man, Darkside, Gauntlet, and Only One Thing, Zar630, Strix, Rayden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Drake Lovedragon, Pastel Skies, Austin Rowland, CrazyKiller557, Stu Hex, Will, Dospo, Delta Omega, Jack Hadge, RuneScythe9852, Leslie Prickett, Hunter Norman, Stephen Bingham, LineGuy12, and many more fabulous people. Thank you all so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.